All right, what's up everyone? Todd Castline here. Gonna do I've never done this before, but I kind of always wanted to. I'm going to do a response to a comment I had on a video. I get a lot of comments. I get, and most of them I like. Some of them though, I like the comment actually. I like his comment, but I don't think I could actually reply to his comment by just replying back to him on the computer. I think it was too long. I'm gonna have to do too much. So this is what it is. This is my reply back to it, and I'll kind of fill you all in on it. Like I said, if you like all this, please subscribe, guys. It always helps out, man. I appreciate it. So I did a video on why I hate fishing rivers. So basically, just gotten back from the Arkansas River. I was fishing the Bassmaster Open there, and I decided to do this thing about like why I hate fishing rivers, because I'm kind of more or less in tournaments. The river's okay, it's not a bad place, but there's just all these things that we have to go through on trying to fish this river. And I mean, guys, this place is big, it's long. When I say it's dangerous, you don't have to go into these places that are hard to get into, or dangerous to get into, or places that might mess up your boat. But that's the problem, is a lot of the fish live in these places, and you have to get away from pressure sometimes to do good. And that's a little bit about what I was talking about in this. And so this is from Ryan Armstrong. I'll read the entire comment, okay? It says, first off, you're a phenomenal fisherman. I love all your videos, but this was kind of awful. The best thing you said was you're not very good on rivers. The worst thing you said was you weren't going to win the deal. I agree river deals are genuinely a totally different tournament than typical, but they, in my opinion, make some of the most interesting tournaments to learn. I get what you're saying, but you're a tournament angler and a dang good one. Be cool to see you do one in the future of what you find positive. Almost everything I do is positive on here. So it is like the whole fishing experience usually is positive. But listen guys, this is what I'm doing on YouTube, and this is why I'm doing stuff different. I'm not saying different than everyone else, but this is totally what I'm going to do. I'm going to be real. I'm not going to sit there and try to sugarcoat things. I'm not going to tell you, that fishing is the greatest thing in the world. Man, fishing for a living is tough. Like, okay, and there's a lot of things that's just not like, oh, all y'all might see is us just going out there and fishing a tournament, and you see some guy holding a trophy up, and it's like, man, that's really cool. Well, there's 190 something guys in that tournament that did not go up, home with a trophy, and a lot of them went home with broken boats and a lot of lost money and a lot more other things that were hard, right? And we just spent days upon days on the road, and it sometimes it wasn't fun. Sometimes going out there and fishing a river and getting very, very, very few bites in practice and shaking them all off in 100-degree weather is not something a lot of people want to go do. Now, with that being said, the best thing you said was, the worst thing you said, or how was it? The best thing you said was you're not very good on rivers. I'm not very good on rivers, because one, I don't fish a lot of them, and two, I'm not a guy who goes around and tries to get in these places. Now, a lot of river stuff is places that people would never think to go to or go in, and the reason they don't go into them is because they're kind of unknown. Hence, that's why they're good places, because most people don't know how to get into them. A lot of these places, I'll be honest with you, it's info driven. it's places that people don't know about. Like I said, that's why you can go in there and catch a bunch of fish, is because no one goes in them. And so a lot of times it's spot related. I'm not a guy who really likes to fish a lot of spots. I'm a guy who likes to fish patterns. This was definitely not one of those places. It never has been. Even when you talk to locals, I mean, I know a lot of those locals. I know a lot of guys. I know Chris Jones. I know Bradley Hallman. I talked to Jason Christie. I talked to some other buddies that even weren't in this tournament, they, like, these places are very hidden when they get into them. I mean, some of them are like, man, I went into this one place, never thought anyone would ever get in there, and they saw someone. So they're tough. You know, they're places that, like, that's the deal, is getting in these places. And man, it's just not one of those places that they're easy to get into. So, but this is the comment. This is the comment that got me. It says, the worst thing it says, you weren't going in to win the deal. You weren't going in to win the deal. That, I have gotten into arguments, and I want to say with younger fishermen over this. Guys that just got into the fishing game, right? And they have all this like, man, I'm going in there to win every tournament, and I'm going in there to do this and to do that, and like, I can't believe you'd go into a tournament not thinking you're gonna win. Well, yeah, I do sometimes, and only because I've been doing it a really, really long time. And now, am I not going in there not to win? It's just, I have a pretty good head on my shoulders and realize that if I go to Kentucky Lake in the summertime, okay, back when it was good, so I go out there in May or June, and I've gone there, guys, and I've gone there and made a couple top tens, you know, out of day one or day two, in coasters before. But if I go there, I know my battle of trying to win that event is some guys out there that have been fishing that lake their entire life, and that lake is monstrous, right? And those guys can sit on one spot and make one exact cast over and over and over again to the same spot. We're not even talking needle in a haystack. We're talking worse than that. Needle in a cornfield. I mean, it's incredible, right? And they're throwing it one cast, one spot. And they might catch 25, 26 pounds in 5 minutes off that, where it might take me, you know, 8 hours to catch that. They're doing it in 5 minutes. I kind of know that I'm fighting an uphill battle. Doesn't mean I'm not trying to win, but my battle is, I know that's going to happen, and me trying to find that in this tournament is slim to none. So I'm not going to sit out there and go sometimes graph for 4 days, right, trying to maybe find this, and in the meantime do horrible in the event. Or can I go, man, no one fishes a frog on this lake, I'm gonna go shallow, I probably won't win, but I might even make a top 10 doing this, and it's gonna look pretty good. And even if I don't make a top 10, I'll probably still do okay, because I'll have this all to myself. Now, I'm giving up the chance to win because I know the winning pattern is out there throwing at one spot. I know that. But this isn't a game of going, well, I'm just going to go for it every single time and end up not cashing any checks ever, hoping to win one tournament every 20 years. That's not, to me, smart. So I know going into this tournament that there are places that I will never find. I might live on this river for 5 years and never find some of these places. These guys grew up there. But I'm going to look at it going, I'm going to try to do my best in another area and play a little bit of a safe route, because it's a river, because I know that this is how these rivers, this is how it goes. I'm like, I know this. It's not all the time, okay? It doesn't always work out like that. But sometimes the schedule lines up with the lake you're on or the river, and this is what happens. I've been here. I know that. I called it. Chris Jones wins it. Big surprise. Dude is a heck of a fisherman. But that's what happens, you know? And so I can say that about plenty of lakes like this, or plenty of rivers, or lakes, rivers, it doesn't matter. Tournaments that we go to, and this happens. And that's okay. Like, that's what we signed up for. But I'm not gonna be stupid about it and go sit there and not try to do the best that I could possibly do. You know, I always love it when guys get through with the tournament, they did real bad, and like, man, I went for the win. And I was like, went for the win. I don't really know if I always understand that. Sometimes, you know, they're like, well, I'm gonna go throw a 12-inch swim bait all day long for 5 8-pounders. And I'm like, well, you could do that, but there's a 99.9% chance you're gonna come back with 0 fish. To me, that's not going for the win. That's just an excuse. why don't you just go out there and try to catch as much as you possibly can, and see what kind of unfolds. And what this was is way different. Going for the win might have been going to Kerr, and it might have been doing all these things, but you might have been giving up all these things to like catch fish in an area where you might not win, but you might do really, really good. Well, when I started these opens, yes, I wanted to win and I can get to go to the Classic. But if you ask me, Scott Martin, Hallman, Andrew Upshaw, our first goal was trying to qualify for the elites. And qualifying for the elites might not always be going for the win, because sometimes going for the win, you know, you put up a bigger risk of not doing as well. And so I know that this is a place that I have done, when I say bad, that it's a hard place, and it can get you. Now, I thought I was going to do something that was a little less risky. I always locked down. I'd finally found some fish in the pool we were out of, and I was like, I'm going to go try to fish for those and take my chances on those and do really well. And it didn't work. But the reason I made the video is why I hate fishing rivers is throughout all this, every day we walked back in and we looked at each other. All of us would just be sitting around staring at each other going, what are we going to do? We were trying to figure out about the locks and about all these things that were going on. And it was this other factors that we kept on worrying about. The fishing was almost little to no worry. We usually don't worry about the fishing part of it. It was all these things that we can't control. All these things about how many people are going through the lock. What's our boat number? How long are we going to get to fish? Are we going to get back through the lock? Are we going to get 3 hours at Kerr? Or are we going to get 6 hours at Kerr? If you go 6 hours at Kerr, you know, and take that chance, are you going to be able to lock through? Which guys took some of those chances and still did not make it back. They zeroed for the day because of those factors, because of factors that were out of their control. That's part of the stuff that we were talking about. And so I understand that a lot of people go, you know, it's going to be hard for people to understand sometimes about, you know, why you didn't go for the win. It's just one of those deals, guys, where it's like, yeah, I was still going to go out there and try to win the tournament. I could have won the tournament where I was at, maybe. But I also knew my chances were probably better on going down to Kerr because the bigger fish lived there. I mean, they just did. But there was also a lot more factors that were going to go involved if I went down there. And I always go down there. I wanted to try something different. I still got the same result. And so probably next time I'll go down there because, you know, you try something different. What's the old saying, you know, doing something over again, expecting different results. Well, I wasn't going to just keep on going down there and not doing good. So I wanted to try something different. Didn't work out. I'll probably start going back down there again if we fish it again. But I just wanted to reply to that comment because, like I said, I've gotten into it. When I say gotten into it, I've had this discussion with other guys, and man, they're so gung-ho and all this, and I think I've been doing this for quite a while. Not just this, just even back home on at Rayburn and all these other lakes. You know, it's very, very difficult sometimes going into these lakes with hometown guys and guys that have done all these things for years, and you kind of know how it's going to be won, but you know it's almost impossible for you to go figure it out in 2 or 3 days or one day. I mean, sometimes we got these tournaments back here that are one-day events, right? And we get 1 day of practice. We're supposed to go beat these guys. We have to sometimes take chances and do some things a little bit different, even though we know the winning pattern, you know. And I get this from all the guys coming down to Rayburn. I mean, I get it from all the guys coming down to Rayburn. Those guys know how hard it is to compete sometimes against Rayburn guys because of some of these spots sometimes at certain times of the year. Sometimes we come down here, and I'll be honest, like it's like the tournament that I had won, the coast I won on Rayburn. It was more of a sight fishing deal. It opens up the entire event to everyone because the fish aren't on spots; they're scattered around everywhere. And I honestly like those. I like it better. I don't like fishing tournaments where one guy sits on one spot. You know, sometimes people find those spots, sometimes they're given to them, you know, by info. Either way, I'd rather be a wide open pattern deal where it's like the guy that finds the best pattern wins. But anyways, that's the video. It was short and sweet, I guess, but I really wanted to, it was a great comment. I liked his comment, but I couldn't reply to that just by typing something down there. I kind of wanted to understand like what the process was and what we all go through, and that even though in my head, it's not like I wasn't trying to win the event, I just kind of knew sometimes where it's going to be won. Doesn't mean I know how to go do it. I don't know where. Kerr's giant. I mean, Kerr's a giant place. I don't know where in Kerr it was going to be won. I just know it was going to be down there. And when you went down there, you were instantly limiting yourself to half of a day of fishing, as opposed to a full day of fishing in that one. And I just didn't want to do that. Just not be reckless and careless and just kind of, you know, go do whatever you want to do, hoping you're going for the win or anything like that. Like sometimes you gotta look at it, you know, real sensible. And I try to do that. We try to make the best decisions possible that's going to help us, you know, continually get better. And like I said, there are points involved in this. This isn't a free-for-all one day, you know, one tournament open deal. I mean, there's points involved. So we have to take that into consideration. I'm a guy who fishes back home for locally in one-day events. I go for the win every single time, because the difference between first place money and second place money is like this. So we always go for the win. I tell everyone I don't ever care about limits or anything like that. We're always going for the win. But this is a different deal. Sometimes points are involved, and I would say qualifying for the elites and the point system in this is a pretty big deal, guys. Like it's the biggest deal. It's bigger than winning the event. It really is. So I mean, we're talking about qualifying for the Classic, which is huge, or qualifying for something that might be huge for the next 10 to 15 years. So, you know, some guys might look at it differently. As of right now, I went over here to fish the Opens for that chance to qualify. So that's kind of where my head's at. That's why I'm making decisions the way I am. Anyways, hope this helps, Ryan. Great comment. I liked it. I didn't dislike it, but anyways, hope this helps, man. See y'all.